Hey guys, Steven here with More Weight Fitness, and today I'm talking to people who sit a lot. Especially nowadays, when people are working from home a lot and sitting at the computer all day, we have to talk about the psoas muscle. The psoas major is a powerful flexor of the hips that is responsible for, of course, hip flexion, but also anterior tilt of the pelvis, lateral flexion of the trunk, and assists in external rotation of the femur. Here is why this muscle is so important. This muscle inserts at the femur, but attaches to every vertebrae and disc from your T12 down to your L5. When you are sitting, this muscle is in a shortened position. And if you sit all the time, the psoas gets tight. And when the psoas gets tight, it is constantly pulling on your lower back, compressing your discs and putting your pelvis into an anterior tilt. Here are a couple of tests to see if your psoas is tight. All right guys, so my buddy Alex here is gonna help us with the first test to see if your psoas is tight. So if you sit all the time, then you're probably gonna have a bad posture like most people. So I'm gonna have Alex face this way. And what's gonna happen is, if you're just relaxed, you're probably gonna have this anterior pelvic tilt, an arched lower back. And we wanna see if you can pull that out of anterior into posterior. So you're going to point your belt buckle up, flattening your back. And if you're unable to do that, if you try to pull your belt buckle up and you feel any pain in your back or you're just unable to flatten this out, that's one sign that your psoas is really tight. It's not definitive, but this is one test. So for the second test, what you're gonna need is a flat table that's nice and supportive and isn't gonna sink in like a bed. We want this to be a real supportive table. Coffee tables work fine. Something a little higher will be better, but this will work. So we're gonna have Alex here go ahead and lay back for us. And we want his knees off the edge of the table so that it's not butted up against. We're gonna move this leg out a little. And he's gonna pull his right knee to his chest. And we're gonna see if this leg comes off of the coffee table. So it does, so we have this gap here under his leg, and that means that his psoas is pulling his leg up. So that means there's some tension here and there's some stretches he needs to do. And so if that's you, then I got some stretches for you. Before discussing the stretches for the psoas, you should know that if you're spending hours and hours a day sitting, doing just a couple of stretches every now and again is like trying to empty a 5-gallon bucket of water with a tablespoon while someone else is trying to fill it up with a quart. Get a standing desk and reduce those hours of sitting. There are several ways to stretch this muscle, but let's go over 2 of my favorites. All right, so the first stretch we're gonna do is actually very similar to the test we just did, using this same coffee table, but this time we're gonna kind of hang off the side a little bit. So we're gonna have Alex lay down again. And again, you don't wanna fall off the side, but you can hang off a little bit so that leg can hang down, the one we're gonna stretch. So we stretch this leg, pull the opposite knee to the chest. And then while keeping his lower back flat against the table, we're gonna let this leg, which is mostly straight, just let gravity do its work here. And you should already feel a decent stretch here in the psoas. Feel that? Good. So you might need a partner to assist you, although gravity is usually enough. And if you just get somebody to gently push down a little bit to get that stretch a little bit more, then that can help. But either way, once you feel the stretch, you're going to, again, make sure you're breathing. So slow in through the nose, slow out through the mouth, focus on that breathing. And you're gonna hold that stretch for 20 to 30 seconds for 3 sets on each leg every single day. All right guys, this is the second and my favorite of the psoas stretches, and it's gonna be a kneeling hip flexor stretch. All you need is a floor and something soft for your knees to go on. So we're gonna go ahead and kneel down. And this right side with that knee on the ground, that's gonna be the psoas we're stretching. And we want this foot here, the top of the foot, to be flat on the ground. And since the psoas is responsible for external rotation of the femur, we want to move this foot out that way so that we have some internal rotation to assist with the stretch a little bit. Next, and most importantly, we want to make sure that that pelvis is in a posterior tilt, not an arched back anterior tilt. So we want to point that belt buckle up towards the sky, engaging this right glute. Most people will already feel a decent stretch here, but we want to increase it a little bit and make sure that his hips are square with the wall. And then you're gonna reach that right arm forward and then start shifting forward without losing that posterior tilt. We don't wanna end up with the arch back again. And then lastly, if you need a little bit more of a stretch, since this muscle is also responsible for some lateral bending of the trunk, if we go this way, which is the opposite of the muscle action, we'll create even more stretch if you need it. So once you feel the stretch, you're gonna hold it for 20 to 30 seconds, 3 rounds on both sides, and focus on that breathing. Make sure you're slow through the nose, out slow through the mouth. And this is something you can do every single day. Guys, I hope this helps, and remember, habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. It only works if you do it consistently and often. Thanks, guys.